NBA coaches on a hot seat. I was surprised, Riv, that you requested Ty Lue.
Yeah, I was very
to
surprised.
be a graphic.
I had a thought.
I see his vision too.
It was somebody else too. Quinn Snyder.
Snyder. That one makes sense.
I think they're not on the hot seat, but I don't think they're on the low seat. I think they're kind of heating up. You know, I think that the seat's getting warm, they're heating up. You know, how when you in the car, you a little cold, you want to get your seat warm. Because I think Ty Lue, you know, you got James Harden, you got Paul George, you got Kawhi, you got Westbrook. Zubac's been playing great. Norman Powell might be sixth man of the year. This team looks incredible. You know, you got Plumlee, Daniel Tice has been good off the bench. So this team looks good. Terrence Mann's a good defender. James Harden's going to be a free agent. Paul George has yet to sign his extension. Kawhi did sign his extension, but you still always have to linger around the will he be healthy, you know? Then you're going into a new building. I think Ty Lue is a great coach, and I think if they win this year, this question is going to get thrown out the window. But there is a possibility that they don't win this year, and you have now lost out on the opportunity to bring a championship when you brought in Kawhi and PG. This started 4 or 5 years ago with them, Doc Rivers. Then Doc Rivers left, Ty Lue got there, and Ty Lue, you know, WCF, overachieved when Kawhi and PG missed a shit ton of time throughout the year. So he's been doing his thing, but then he wasn't there for the blown 3-1 lead. That wasn't him. Just specifically talk about Ty Lue. So I only asked, I only thought up the idea because I think if they don't win this year with the way they've been hooping, the way they've been playing at a high level, you could be thinking about moving a different direction, especially if Paul George doesn't re-sign, if James Harden doesn't come back, if Westbrook doesn't come back, because you know he came back on a cheaper deal. This could look really dark for a Clippers team going into a new arena.
I think Ty Lue is a good coach, a really good coach, and it's being shown right now when his players are healthy. Obviously, you've seen the product, 28 wins so far. That's 4 underneath the top spot in the Western Conference. They've been playing some excellent basketball. You see the togetherness on the offensive side of the ball. Any given night, it can be Harden, it could be Paul George, it could be Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell off the bench, like you mentioned, in strong contention for sixth man of the year. There's very few off the bench that are as good of a scorer as Norman Powell. If they don't win a championship, this is why I say I see his vision, because you have such a great collection of ball players that falling short of a title, anything short of winning a championship, is a failure. And with Kawhi and Paul George, anything short of a championship has been a failure. So all the years that they've been together, they've yet to succeed once. And blowing the 3-1 lead, you're right, that was not Ty Lue, but you mentioned Kawhi Leonard missed some time. They still were able to make it to the Western Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken, for the first time in their franchise's history. Ty Lue did that. So I see his process. I think Ty Lue is still safe regardless, but I understand the sentiment. Their expectations, nothing less than making the NBA championship.
I think what you're describing to me is pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure on Ty Lue.
I
don't think there's a hot seat for Ty Lue.
I agree with you. I'm understanding his sentiment of
pressure could lead to seat getting hot, getting fired.
If you're telling me the Clippers get bounced in the first round, okay, now he's gonna be gone. But the West is so tough. I don't think the Clippers, as great as the roster is, they are not an overwhelming favorite to just make it out the West.
I agree, but when you have Kawhi, you have Paul George, you have James Harden, probably the best trio in basketball, and you don't make it to the championship, if you lose,
anything less than a WCF.
That's what I'm saying. I think that it's a failed season strongly, and definitely can be talking about
Who's
Ty Lue.
the replacement then? If you're moving off Ty Lue,
That's where she
the
gets-
whole team respects him. The NBA respects him. I feel like he's viewed as very comfortably a top 10 coach in the league.
Cassell gets a nod.
Who?
No, Sam Cassell's staying in Boston.
Sam is
He's
tough.
staying
That's
in
what I'm
Boston.
saying.
I need him to stay in Boston.
I'll be honest, if they throw him hey, listen, he'll leave. But Sam is tough.
Ty Lue has come back from multiple 0-2 deficits in the
NBA
playoffs.
championship. He's an NBA champion.
Sure.
Yeah, with LeBron, for sure. And I'm not knocking that, but I'm saying with the Clippers, he's come back from 0-2 deficits in the playoffs.
True.
He's made great adjustments. The team has never been healthy.
Even last year against the Suns, bro, they made that tough with nobody out
You're
there.
right.
If the Clippers go into the playoffs this year healthy and they stay healthy throughout the entire playoffs, is this not the first year that Ty Lue has a healthy team?
That's a fact.
This also could be the last year you get all these guys at their best.
True.
Is that Ty Lue's fault?
It wouldn't be, but it's sometimes it's never the coach's fault, and the coach can still get fired.
If
grass
you'd
isn't
be
always
okay
greener.
with firing Ty Lue.
Me? No, but I would understand if they get bounced in the first.
If they get bounced in the first, all bets are off. But I
Even
don't
if they
think
get
we're-
bounced in the second, it's like, well, damn.
They
like,
get bounced in the second by the
Do they
Nuggets
face Denver?
Yeah.
Denver, but even still, like we're given, like James Harden's gonna be a free agent. Westbrook's gonna. You might
talent on
not
the
get this
Clippers
roster
is
ever again.
Absurd.
But to be fair, these players, they've all said they want to stay in LA. Kawhi signed his
say that a lot.
extension.
It's
Harden
true.
said he
Kyrie
wants
said
to be
that
here.
multiple times.
Kyrie did say that, but I feel more comfortable about
PG
James
said he would stay in
staying.
Oklahoma City. The next year, boom, left.
It's true. Anything can happen in the NBA.
That's true, but they just signed Kawhi.
They did, which
Paul
gives
George
you
didn't have a Kawhi there.
gives you the little faith that okay, Paul George might.
I feel
stay.
like Paul George. I don't know. I was gonna say I don't know if Kawhi signs it without knowing, but Kawhi loves LA. He doesn't really care
Yeah,
as much.
yeah,
He just
I
wants
think
his
at
money
least
to stay
one
in
of the
LA.
two signed back, either Harden or
I
Paul
do too.
George.
I think if one of even, but I think they need all three, especially at the way
I
they're
think they
going
do.
up in age. You know, they're getting old. The league is getting younger.
Who's your coach on a hot seat, Dels? Bless you, Drew.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, I want to go with Drew's team. I want to talk about Darvin Ham.
Darvin.
I want to talk about Darvin Ham
brother stinks.
because are the Lakers still the 11th seed? You guys moved up.
No. I think we're 9. We're 9.
You're 9. Okay, my apologies.
Not
Don't
as good as the
disrespect you.
Suns.
You guys, you had a big win last night against Chicago. Really down. It was interesting. It was close at the end. The score
Chicago
was
being a
closer
big
than
win
what
is so,
it should have
it's
been.
so warm.
The
in my
last
heart
like 3
nowadays.
minutes of the game, it got
It
a
ended up
little
being like a 9 or 11
9 point
game,
win.
right?
Yeah.
But Darvin Ham, I think whenever you have LeBron James on your team, you're on the hot seat. If you didn't just win a championship, you're on the hot seat. We saw Frank Vogel win a championship and get fired not shortly after that. So Darvin Ham's got to figure this out. You know, I do think rotationally he's had some questions throughout this season. Some of the lineups he's put out. I do think the last couple of weeks has been better than the previous couple of months with the lineups that he's putting out there. But there's always so much pressure when you have LeBron and AD. It's the window to win is so small. Like if you're not competing for championships year in and year out, it's hard to keep you around for head coach. And last season, you know, in the beginning of the year, a lot of people doubted the Lakers because you started off terrible. You go into the trade deadline, make a ton of moves, then you get hot at the second half of the year, go into the playoffs, make the WCF. You do get swept by the Nuggets. But that at least bought him, I think, this season, right? If he got bounced in the first round or didn't make the playoffs last year, I think he would have been gone by now. But the fact that you made the WCF, you can make the argument you overachieved if you compare to what you were pre-trade deadline last season. But if Darvin Ham doesn't at least, in my opinion, make the second round this year, I think there's a real chance he gets
He
bounced.
still might get.
And
don't
even still,
disagree.
if you even go on like another little 7-8 game losing streak here, because there was rumors about a couple months ago, right before you had a big homestand, I want to say the beginning of this month, that if this homestand doesn't go your way, he could get bounced.
Yep.
What do you think, though?
I don't disagree strongly. I feel like his huge blunders at times can be his lineup decisions. With the fact that Reeves was coming off the bench at one point in time, the fact that it took him almost until beyond the halfway point to start pushing out the lineup that got us to the WCF in the first place with D'Lo, Austin Reeves, LeBron, Vanderbilt, and of course Anthony Davis. The lack of consistency in getting the ball to Anthony Davis in certain mismatches. I also do point that to Darvin Ham, where he's not making it a point of emphasis to get Anthony Davis the ball when he's dominating a ball game. So I don't disagree. I think that his rotations definitely do give me agita when I do watch games. But now that we're starting to get a little bit healthier, now that he's starting to realize, okay, I need to have D'Lo, Austin Reeves, LeBron James,
hooping his ass
whether it
off.
be Taurean Prince or Jared Vanderbilt, and of course Anthony Davis. This is the best starting 5 and 6 players, of course, that can get me to winning a ball game. We're starting to see that a little bit more and more. But my verdict on Darvin's still not out. I need to see a consistency in that regard of his game. But other than that, Lakers coming off a win, look good against the Mavericks. I can't be too upset with the way that we've been playing recently. All I can just ask is come playoff time, we get healthy. But Darvin most definitely is definitely on the hot seat. And he's one of those guys, of all the names I feel like we're going to mention, whose name is going to be on the hot seat the most.
I'll be honest. I think it's a lot. If y'all end up in the play-in, it's a lot. I think Darvin Ham has a long, because to come out the play-in, then you got to go play either Denver, Minnesota, OKC, or the Clippers in the first. Then you might have to play another one of those teams in the second. That's a lot. That's a big uphill. That's
I'll tell you what, there's a path where it could be similar to last year. Last year, in the play-in, we played the Timberwolves. We were able to skate away with that one. Then we get the Grizzlies, which ended up being a good matchup for us.
Who's the good matchup in the top 3 or 4 this year?
Hot take.
Minnesota?
The Minnesota Timberwolves.
I think out of all of them, I would agree with that team.
'Cause their
Just
offense
offensively,
isn't-
Correct.
Yeah.
I
Correct.
actually think you match up the best with OKC.
OKC's a good one. I just
one.
respect them on both sides of the ball. I understand they're a youthful team. They lack the experience. But I feel like OKC is one of those that I find myself
So
pushing against
you're
the
dodging
grain.
the veteran two teams. I see.
Well,
Clippers in Denver.
The Nuggets most definitely are a team I want nothing to do with. I'm not stupid in that
That's
regard.
respectable.
The Clippers always have played the Lakers well. We've played them well this season as well. Although the last
I
time
would love
we
a
played,
Kawhi LeBron one more time
That'd be fun.
series.
I would love it. I would love it in the WCF, but
You're not
beggars
getting
can't be
that,
choosers.
Darvin Ham's seat is hot because it feels like LeBron doesn't really want him like that, especially from his post-game interviews that he's been talking about him. He's been questioning certain decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I think last year's run for the Lakers was a big-time fluke. And
Oh
I
my
think
God,
this
dude.
year we cannot expect the same thing
Why was it fluky?
because
He went against the best guard in the game.
you were a team that you were not good for
They just got lucky
mostly
with a
the
lot of
entire
favorable
season.
matchups.
Then you got healthy, and then you got started to win. But in the first round, you guys faced a Grizzlies team that had 2 or 3 key players injured.
Then
John
Ja
Morant
got
got hurt during this series.
Then why'd you pick the Grizzlies to beat them?
Hey, listen,
And the Warriors.
because I was hating. That's why. I was hating on the Lakers. That's why I picked them. But I think the Lakers are not going to make this playoff run this year. They're not. They're probably going to trade D'Lo. We already seen
Hope
LeBron
not.
post a
Hope
Instagram
not.
post
The
The way
praising
D'Lo
him.
playing right now, I don't
Trade
know.
deadline
playing
D'Lo.
really well.
He's an
But
all-time great.
we know D'Lo though.
Yeah, even if y'all keep him, we know in the playoffs that D'Lo disappears.
Let me
He
ask you a
might be
question.
there for a couple games,
Has
but
he
for the most
pla-
part, he disappears.
Has he played as good as he's played in the last 2 weeks ever in his career?
Yes.
You're saying
With
Brooklyn?
Yes. 100%.
He's been on different timing
He was
recently.
just on that exact same timing in Brooklyn.
D'Lo has hot stretches. This isn't the first time that he's played
His
it
highs are really
phenomenally.
Oh
high.
my goodness.
Yeah, he plays great.
It's just not
He was hitting
ironic
some
that he
stupid
plays
threes
this
yesterday.
high and the Lakers are playing winning basketball.
The reason why I'm not balling in on the Lakers this year is because you guys have a bad record healthy. Like last year, there was an excuse. You guys were unhealthy for the majority of the year, and you were trying to kind of have Westbrook fit. And then you traded him, and then that's when you got full continuity with the lineup. This entire year, LeBron and AD has been healthy. Yeah, your role players, some of them might have been in and out the lineup at certain times. But
A good amount
last
of
year, you had the role players, but you didn't have the stars. If you have LeBron and AD, they should be willing you to wins regardless. And there have been too many games this year where Anthony Davis plays amazing, and you guys still lose.
Yep.
LeBron, same
consistent, too.
thing. So I don't think that there's a run in the Lakers this year. I don't. I think this is a first round exit. The plan,
Love it.
LeBron, AD, you guys are gonna make the plan.
I love it.
But you guys will not make a deep playoff
This is
run.
the best.
My guy on the hot seat is Jock Vaughn. I think Jock Vaughn
Your guy for sure.
is on the verge of getting
Undoubtedly.
fired. Hot seat.
Your guy for sure.
When we go down a list of all the coaches that are most likely to get fired next, I think Jock Vaughn is the
Surprise
next
up.
one up.
Mm-hmm.
The Nets have been losing a lot lately. Their offense is very clunky. Their defense, despite having a lot of defenders that in theory on other teams would be good, their defense is falling off. And I just can't help, but I can't turn a blind eye to how he's mismanaged Cam Thomas. I know Riv has brought stats to me on another podcast telling me how Cam Thomas is a negative, but he is their best scorer. There, you cannot watch the
might
Nets
be
and
an
you
issue.
cannot tell
He's
me
their
that
best one-on-one
he's
scorer,
not
for
their
sure.
best half-court scorer.
What's the problem?
No, the problem is that he doesn't get a consistent role. That's the problem. And I think Jock Vaughn, there's too much inconsistencies in how he's coaching. He's not a true X's and O's coach. He's more of a personality manager. And the Nets are losing a lot despite having a solid roster. They don't have no star. But we've seen before, if you have a lot of good players and not a true star, if you get great coaching out of them, you can still make them a 500 team.
Is there a significant difference between Cam Thomas and Jalen Green?
Cam Thomas plays more in control.
So Cam Thomas a better player than Jalen Green, in your opinion?
Offensively, well, yeah, he's a better player than him. Yeah.
Say offensively,
I mean,
there's
yeah,
not much. on
yeah,
defense
that's what I
for
said.
us.
Cam Thomas is a better player than Jalen Green. Jalen Green
How the
is
mighty
too
have
erratic.
fallen then.
Jalen Green is way too erratic.
I
And
just
he
mean-
makes terrible decisions.
But you understand my sentiment?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
But I don't think Cam Thomas is as big of a negative as Jalen Green is to the Rockets. Ime Udoka is there now. We see Alperen Şengün flourishing.
I agree.
Cam Whitmore in his minutes that he's come in, he's played really well. Like that team as a whole.
Amen too, coming back.
Yeah, outside of Jalen Green, that team, everybody's kind of playing their part. And Green is the one inconsistent piece that you can see they're making it a point of emphasis to get him back into rhythm.
Yep.
But he's not taking advantage. So that's the difference. The Rockets are trying to get Green into rhythm. Jock Vaughn, it feels, is actively holding back Cam
I
Thomas.
think Jalen Green though does get the same Cam Thomas excuse. He was mismanaged his first 2 years in the league.
Agreed.
We can all agree he was miscoached.
It was an
mismanaged.
AAU team.
It was for sure. He didn't have the proper structure. So now getting the coach, it's taken him longer than the others. You know, Eamon and Cam, they're different because they came in and they got the discipline right away. Sengun has blossomed. You know, Tari Eason looks good in his
I feel
minutes.
like we forget about Jabari.
Yeah, Jabari's played well this
Yeah,
year.
he
You know,
has.
but I think Green, give him a little extra time. But I understand why you said that.
All right. My coach on the hot seat is on a team that right now sits at the 8th spot of the Western Conference, and that is the Dallas Mavericks and Jason Kidd. Now, the year that the Mavericks went to the WCF, they had a top 5 defense. Last year, one of the worst defenses in the league. Luka Doncic gets hurt at the end of the season. They fall to the 11th seed. Also, put it hand in hand with the idea that they blatantly tanked. They also did try to tank so that they could get their draft pick, which ended up being a success for them because they ended up getting Derek Lively, who has been one of the backbones of their defense, really the backbone of their defense. But this season, you look at it, they're a bottom 10 defense again. In their last 10, they rank 15th. Goes hand in hand with also Derek Lively missing some games. But Jason Kidd, what his expertise was supposed to be, was on the defensive side of the ball. And you have this excellent duo of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, of course, missing some time. Same with Luka Doncic a little bit this season. But you understand how great they are when both of them are on the court. The surrounding role players may not be the greatest, but I look at Jason Kidd understanding that you have one of the best duos, at least one of the best scoring duos in the Western Conference. You should be able to put out a winning product on a consistent basis. Offensively, they haven't been that dominant force either, where they're outside the top 10. And when you have one of the best engines in Luka Doncic, and of course one of the best twos in Kyrie Irving, this team should be a lot better than what they've put forth these last 2 seasons. And Jason Kidd, who has shown to be, at one point in time, a really good coach in this league. These last 2 seasons, he hasn't given us that same result. So one of these guys that I feel like we don't talk about enough being on a hot seat, Jason Kidd needs to be in this conversation.
You think Kidd is more on the hot seat than Steve Kerr?
I think Steve Kerr's earned a season of being mediocre.
What do you think?
No.
You think Steve Kerr's more on the hot seat?
No, I think the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay. You think Kidd's more on the hot
Because
seat?
he's won.
Do you think Kerr should be more on the hot seat?
Yes. For sure.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming
I
from.
think more as I think he should be on the hot seat more to kind of get him to take more. Like, you know how when you want somebody to do better, so you kind of like try to scare him. You know, you try to give him like, yo, I need, you know,
like D'Angelo Russell.
yeah, I kind of need that. Like, kind of just Kerr's on the hot seat. All right, now let me step
Maybe
up.
leak some reports out there to the
Yeah,
media.
something like that. I think Kidd is really legitimately on the hot seat though.
I think so too. I think the Mavericks, where it all goes back to where they started kind of being inconsistent, was Kyrie's first injury.
Definitely.
When Dwight Powell fell on him.
That was terrible.
I think they were finally hitting their stride there. And then the Kyrie injury happened, and then Luka had to carry the team, and they were playing well, and then Luka kind of gets banged up, and then Kyrie comes back, and now Kyrie's in and out the lineup again. Derek Lively's missed some games. They need consistency. That's all they need. I feel like once they can find consistency, they could get back to winning, maybe going a little bit of win streak. Mm-hmm. But right now, Jason Kidd, you're not wrong. I think last year, the way he managed fourth quarter decisions in the offense specifically, I think was terrible.
Definitely.
There's a reason why he was fired from Milwaukee the first go around. Mm-hmm. And then the Nets before that.
Yep.
He was with the Nets before that. So
He was just an unbelievable assistant coach with the Lakers. He really was.
a big reason why you guys went so far.
We won the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was a movie.
And that's going to do it for our time on BR Live. Make sure to follow our page on Bleacher Report. And if you're watching this somewhere else, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you guys next time.